Morning. Thank you for joining. We're just going to give it a few minutes, wait for everyone who wants to join the stream, and then we'll jump right into it. I was going to say, while we're waiting, might be worth just to get yourself a cup of hot tea or anything else that you want to sip on, and anything else that makes you feel a bit more relaxed and at ease. The whole point of this session is for this to be easy, relaxing, really. Can you hear me all right? If you can, be grateful if you can just comment. Morning, Raghav. Yeah, thanks, Rajiv. It's a quarantine beard. Am I correct in assuming that you? Great, fab. Okay, thanks, Rajiv. So as I said a few minutes ago, just make yourself comfortable. Get yourself a nice warm drink, tea, coffee, whatever it is you take. We'll start in a few minutes. Just waiting for a few more people to join. Yeah, very, very funny video. Namaste. Thank you very much, Rex. All right, so we're just going to give it 1 or 2 minutes more, and then we'll get started. As mentioned before, just make sure you got pen, pencil, piece of paper. Oh, that's a shame, Shivani. I thought that was encouragement. All right, guys, we're going to give it 30 more seconds, and then we're going to get started. All right. Thank you all for joining. Before we dive right in to the various creative exercises we've got ready for you today, what I'm going to do is a very short breathing exercise. We'll only take a couple of minutes, but we'll hopefully get you into a bit of a flow state, a state where you're relaxed and just able to let whatever thoughts come out a bit easier. So what I want you to do is first make yourself as comfortable as possible wherever you're seated. Relax your arms and your shoulders, and then close your eyes. Take a deep breath in, and as you exhale, let all your cares and worries of the day flow out of you. just relax. Continue breathing at your own pace, and with each breath, just feel yourself sinking a bit deeper, relaxing a bit more. Now what I want you to do is bring your attention to your breath. Just watch it flow in and flow out. When you're ready, take a deep breath in slowly, stay relaxed, and then exhale slowly. Notice the small gap after you have finished exhaling and before you inhale again. Continue to take slow, relaxed breaths. And try and just watch for that point where your exhalation finishes and just before your inhalation starts. Now, when I say begin, I want you to take 5 slow breaths, counting down from 5 mentally, like this. 5, inhale. 5, exhale. 4, inhale. 4, exhale, and so on. So just count like that mentally, and with each breath, just be aware of the gap between each exhalation and the next inhalation, and relax into it. Sink into it a little further each time. So begin. 5, inhale. 5, exhale, and relax. 4, inhale. 4, exhale, and relax. Now continue at your own pace, and when you're finished, just relax and try and enjoy the stillness in the gap between your breaths. Going to give you a few more seconds to finish off your last inhalation, exhalation. Great. Now open your eyes. Okay, cool. We are good to go. So first of all, thank you for joining us this morning. What we hope to do today is take you through a series of exercises, as we have done in previous sessions. Like previous sessions, it's important to keep in mind that this session is for you, right? Whatever you create, whatever you write, it's not going to be marked or assessed. It's just for you. What would be great is when you feel comfortable, please feel free to share the odd line or two of what you've written. It's always interesting to see what other people make of different prompts and how they respond to them and what kind of thoughts they bring up in their minds. So I'm just going to go through a series of exercises. And with each of these, like I said, try not to censor, try not to edit, try not to improve what comes out. Just let it flow. What you'll find is with practice and over time, this will get easier. And we'll start quite lightly and then try and push it a little bit further near the end of the session. Sound good? But right. So in our first exercise, what I'm going to do is I'm going to read a piece. It's a very short piece, and all I would like to do is after I finished reading it, spend the next 2 or 3 minutes just writing. Let yourself write. This is just an exercise and an experiment to see how freely you can let what is coming up come out. So it doesn't need to be related to the piece. This piece just needs to act as a prompt. Whatever you think, whatever it makes you think, it's fine. Another thing worth noting is in terms of how you write, I've noticed many people, like to write in prose. Others will write in a more poetic form. The rules of how you're going to write, the structure of it is completely up to you. It's whatever is natural and whatever flows out. Just let it flow. Right, so the first piece. This is a poem, one of my favorites. It's called A Potted Plant. It's by Hafiz. So I'm going to read it, and then what we'll do is we'll take 3 minutes afterwards, just for whatever comes, just let it flow. The important thing to bear in mind here is don't stop. Try and keep your pen to the paper, and as it comes, let it come out. Doesn't matter if it doesn't make sense, just let it flow. All right, so a potted plant. I pull a sun from my coin purse each day, and at night I let my pet the moon run freely into the sky meadow. If I whistled, she would turn her head and look at me. If I then waved my arms, she would come back, wagging a marvelous tail of stars. There are always a few men like me in this world, who are house-sitting for God. We share his royal duties. I water each day a favourite potted plant of his, this earth. Ask for love, ask again, for I have learned that every heart will get what it prays for most. To spend the next 3 minutes just letting whatever it is, flow. For anyone who's just joined, we're just taking part in a creative exercise. Have a look at the poem that's just been posted in the comment section. We're going to spend the next few minutes just writing whatever comes to mind and just letting it flow out from our pen to paper. No censorship, no judgment. It's not going to be shared afterwards, so just let it flow. Right, just a few more seconds. Okay, that's 3 minutes. Great. So that was just a small taster, small exercise to get used to just letting things flow. Now the next one is going to be a bit of a warm up. It's going to be quite fast paced, quite a short exercise, but just to get you in the zone for the next one. It's a very simple word association game, essentially. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say a word, and then just what I want you to do is write the first word that comes into your mind. Just write it down, whatever it is. We're going to do this for about 7-8 words, so it's going to be quite fast. And what you'll do is by the end of those 7-8 words, hopefully you'll get the sense, you'll be able to realize, when you're stopping yourself, when you're trying to filter or change the words that are coming out, and when you're really able to just let whatever word it is come out onto paper through your pen. So I'm going to go through these words quite fast, so just be ready. And the first word that comes into your mind, just write it down. Only 7-8 words, so it's going to go by quite quickly. Okay, here goes. So the first word is summer. The first word that comes into your mind, just write it down. For me, it's sunshine. Next word is flower. The next word is wild. Next, it's luck. After that, it's door. Next is lie, L-I-E. Then it's house. And finally, carrot. That says a lot about me, doesn't it? That I wrote cake, carrot cake. Yeah, clearly been indulging too much during this quarantine. Okay, great. Easy warm up. It's quite an interesting exercise, actually. Carl Jung would use it, or a variation of this exercise with some of his patients in an attempt to better understand how their subconscious mind works. Quite a good way of getting into this, just letting yourself go. A lot of us have the habit of censoring, optimizing, trying to come out with the outputs that we think we would like to have come out with. It's generally, it generally stops whatever's in there actually coming out freely. Now, the next exercise, and bear in mind, with this exercise, as with the one before, when you feel comfortable, feel free to just add, a line or two, anything that you want to share in the comments box. As I said, super interesting to see, what everyone else is writing. So the next exercise, we're going to have a series of prompts, and you're going to have a bit longer with each of these prompts, 1 minute each. And they're going to be random short statements. And what I'd like you to do is just use that as a prompt and write whatever you want to write that causes you to think about or feel about. Whatever it is, just put it onto paper. So I'm going to come up with one short prompt, and then I'm going to give you a minute just to write it. Okay, so the first one, the fox just waited. The fox just waited. And if possible, try and keep your pen on the paper and just keep writing. Whatever it is, just let it come. Okay, the next prompt. I'm drifting off. I'm drifting off. For anyone who's just joined, we're just taking part in a short creative exercise in which I'm giving a few prompts, short statements, and for the minute afterwards, asking the participants just to write down whatever comes to mind. Only condition is pen has to stay on paper and there are no pauses, you just keep writing. Like I said before, don't worry, this isn't going to be judged or assessed. But when you feel comfortable, feel free to share a line or two of what you've written in the chat. The next prompt: today the sun rose in the west. Today the sun rose in the west. The next prompt: we've met each other before. We've met each other before. It's quieter in the dark. It's quieter in the dark. For those of you who just joined, we're just taking part in a creative exercise where I'm giving a few short prompts and then asking the participants just to write whatever comes to mind. There's a prompt followed by a minute of time for you to just write. The only condition is that you keep writing and just let whatever it is that you come out with flow out from your pen onto your paper. You've already walked this road. You've already walked this road. The box was empty. The box was empty. just be conscious of any attempts to improve what you're writing before it comes out. Try not to do that. Just let it come out. I saw the stars for the first time. I saw the stars for the first time. Just got a couple more after this. He listened, but didn't hear. He listened, but didn't hear. The ones who walked away. The ones who walked away. And our final prompt for this exercise, it felt like home. It felt like home. Got a few more seconds just to finish the sentence you're on. And we are done, guys. Yeah, have a little break, take some time to stretch out your fingers, have a bit of your tea. It's weird, isn't it? I feel like even that was only maybe about 10 minutes of writing. Just so not used to writing. Um, yeah, just take a few minutes just to stretch out your hands, have a bit of a break. And whilst you're doing that, have a look through the lines you've written. You should have a fair few by now. And what would be great is if everyone could submit a line, just one line, maybe even two if you feel like it, um, of what you've written. It doesn't need to have the prompt in it, any line, and just share it in the comments. The prompts are also in the comments, just if you want to refer to them. So whilst you're thinking about which line to submit, try not to overthink it. As I said, it's not assessed, it's not judged. But what we're going to try and do for the next exercise is once we've started getting a few more lines being submitted, we're going to pick a line that someone else has written and use that as a prompt. We'll just take a couple of minutes for a few more people to submit their lines. Nice. Seeing some of the things coming through. I'm glad you guys are enjoying it. It felt like home when her laugh covered me like a blanket. I'd wrap around me when it was cold at night. Like it. If I focus on the pain, my attention will heal where it hurts. Nice. I saw the stars for the first time. They were magical, flying through the dark night sky, shining bright, giving up all hope. No, like it, guys. Great. So yeah, get any last few lines in now, and just have a scroll through. We've got some really good content here. And just pick a line or two. Um, anyone's comment, and use that as a prompt. And what we're going to do is just spend the next 2 minutes writing about whatever that moves in us. The box was empty. The kids went into a frenzy. It was Christmas morning. They knew it must be a practical joke, but the risk that this year they may not get a present was enough for them to scream at the top of their voices. Great. I like it. Some of these have got levels. Okay, so pick a line, and we'll spend the next minute or two just using that as a prompt ourselves and seeing what comes out. And as before, feel free to share, a line or two of what you're writing. And the sun was fed up with all the salutations. He fancied a head nod and a spud. Like it. Okay, great. Just finish off what you're writing. Yeah, we'll take another very short break. And as I said before, any lines you'd like to share, feel free to share them in the comments. I mean, the quality of some of the content coming through is great. Descriptions are really good. Sense of humor as well. Like it. So what we're going to do for the next exercise, the next exercise is actually inspired by a condition. It's called synesthesia. And this is where one sense, for example, hearing, is simultaneously perceived as if by one or more additional senses such as sight. So one sense is perceived as if it was being perceived by a number of different senses. So for example, people with synesthesia, in some cases, can actually see sounds. They hear a noise, but they can also see the sound in front of them, right? And the colors of it. Another form of synesthesia sometimes joins objects such as letters, shapes, numbers, or people's names with some form of sensory perception, such as a smell, a color, or a flavor. So, with these sorts of people, they'll be able to look at a letter or a name or a word and be able to get a smell from it, a color from it, or a flavor. They have this overlap with all their senses. So what I'm going to do is, again, give you a few short prompts. And with that condition in mind, what I'd like you to do is just write for a minute each time, right? So I'll give you an example. The first exercise, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you to think of a color, any color. Let's say red. What would be good is for the next minute, just write down what red would taste like. And I know to a lot of us this is not going to make sense, but if I was doing this exercise, I would think of red. For me, that feels spicy, hot. So whatever color it is, pick a color, and for the next minute, just write down what it tastes like. Don't worry about it making too much sense. It doesn't need to make sense. The whole idea of this is to try and get some fresh, new ideas, new ways of writing out of you. Just use it as a prompt. As before, if possible, try and just keep writing. Don't filter, don't censor. Okay. We're going to do two more of these prompts. So the next prompt is I want you to think of a food, your favorite food, or your favorite flavor. Just remember what it tastes like, what it feels like. Now, what I'd like you to do is for the next minute, imagine that if it was a physical object or it looked a certain way, what would it look like? For example, something spicy might look quite spiky with jagged edges. Just whatever naturally you think of. So think of your favorite flavor, your favorite taste, your favorite piece of food, and try and describe what it would look like. Now, these are quite interesting, so do feel free to share the odd line or two. Tastes like petals, easy on the eye, bitter on the tongue, nothing like you'd imagine. I wonder as well if when people are sharing comments and snippets of their pieces, whether other people would be able to pick up what the colour was or what the flavour was. Right, now the last one. Now I want you to think of a sound, whatever that sound is. Might be a bell ringing, might be a horn. And I want you to think about what it would look like. So like with the previous exercise, what would it look like if it was physical? Okay, great. Just finish up the sentence you're working on. Sure, the last instruction was think of a sound and write briefly about what it would look like. If it was a physical object, what would it look like? Okay, what I'm going to do is these preliminary exercises that we've done so far should have helped grease the wheels of your mind, your creative engine a bit, and would have hopefully gotten you into the flow of just writing and letting flow whatever there is. I'm aware that we're at the end of our time, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave you with a final exercise, and you can do this after the call's finished. And it'll be just interesting to see what comes out. Just spend a few minutes. And the prompt I'd like you to use is "Dear older self." So, as if you're writing a letter to your older self. So yeah, you can do that once the session's finished. And before we wrap up, what would be great is if anyone who's been part of the session, especially for the last three exercises as well, if you've got an interesting line, feel free to share it in the comments. No, great, thank you. But yeah, thank you very much for joining. And of course, thank you to those of you who joined previous sessions before, and of course have submitted a piece for the Creativity in Crisis project. Entries are now closed for that project, but what I would say is please keep your eyes open on our social media pages, the same pages where you heard about this course, this session. We'll be putting up details there of when it's going to be published, where you can get access to it. But yeah, no, thanks for taking part in this, and also for all your previous submissions. What we're going to do is to wrap up the session. We're going to do a short breathing exercise, square breathing. We're going to take 4 slow breaths, and what we're going to do is our inhalation, our hold in between inhalation and exhalation, our exhalation, and then our hold in between exhalation and inhalation will all be of the same length. So I'm going to count you through that. So just relax, close your eyes, and slowly breathe in and hold the breath in. Breathe out slowly and hold. Breathe in, hold. Breathe out. Hold. Breathe in. Hold. Breathe out. Hold. Breathe in. Hold. Breathe out. Hold. And just relax. You can open your eyes now. And yeah, once again, thanks for taking part. And as before, any interesting snippets, any interesting lines, please feel free to share them. But it's been a pleasure, and I hope you guys have a good Sunday. All right, take care, guys.